Hi, my name is Carmen, and I am an early childhood special education teacher, a life and ADHD coach, and I'm the host of this podcast, Authentically ADHD. I created this podcast to help anyone wondering if they have ADHD, people who have been diagnosed for a while and want some more support and community. I'm here to bring you the latest research on ADHD and neurodiversities while we talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of ADHD. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi there. Welcome back to the podcast. I love that you're here with me today because we are talking about all things environments and how to create environments that will work with your ADHD brain instead of impeding you and making you feel like you are chaotically running around. You can never find what you need. And so you feel like you are just very unproductive. So, are you ready? Let's get started. Why are environments so important for the ADHDer? Although it may seem kind of obvious, when our environment, let's try that again. When our environments aren't conducive, and I realized I use the word conducive a lot, and not everybody knows what that means. I also have listeners from different countries. So basically, conducive means like positive or works with. So when our environments don't work with or aren't conducive to what we do in that specific environment, I mean, like to make an obvious example, like leaving your toothbrush, in the basement. It leads to frustration and distraction, making it really, really hard to be productive. For example, my workspace is in the basement, my home workspace. It would make no sense for my printer to be upstairs somewhere because I use the printer a lot. I'd be up and down the stairs all the time. So unless I had some exercise goal that would make me want to go up and down basement stairs a lot, I wouldn't think I can't think of any other reason why I would move the printer from right behind me to, a different place in the house, upstairs or far away. Creating conducive environments also promotes systems and routines, those things we hate, but we do thrive off of. Yeah. Doing some of the things in this podcast will help you. You'll be more organized, more productive in areas of your life, as well as getting the rest that you need, the nutrition and the other healthy habits down that you try so hard to do, but somehow you feel like you just can't. When you think about it, our environment really sets it up for success or for failure. It's one of the kind of basis skills, in my opinion, that helps an ADHDer to work with their brain instead of feeling like they are constantly fighting against their brain. I mean, if I say like something that my coach kind of says to us all the time is that we are the ones that are setting up our skills. And she mentions this kind of timeline for an ADHDer. And it's right after getting their diagnosis and learning all these things. And then you're trying to implement these coping skills that you've learned, right? And it's like what do I do first? The meme right now that's going around that I love, and this doesn't come out until the end of July, so it may not be around anymore, but Phoebe's running around in the store and she's like, "Well, what do I do?" And like ADHDers have made that meme so funny. I've even made a few myself. Like they are hilarious because that's what our brains feel like. They don't like to prioritize. They don't like systems. They don't like any of these things. So trying to create these conducive environments is going to stir up a little bit of emotion. But when you're thinking about it, I want you to think about it kind of like a triage, right? So the first thing we need to do is like kind of get some of our emotional regulation under control, right? And then the next thing that I feel like is one of the big things is creating your environments, because they set you up. Environments affect so much. The environment we want is the one that we feel safe in, where we can unmask and be ourselves. We want a minimal amount of sensory stimulating items, unless having them in certain environments helps for you. Like if it helps you, then go for it. We can build our organization, our habits, our routines, and overall our management of our ADHD through creating ADHD-friendly environments. So before we dig in, I want to tell you that part of an ADHD-friendly environment is one that is personalized to you. So whatever I talk about in this episode, I want you to take my tips as they work for you, change them up, and or drop the ones that don't work. One of the main keys to a conducive environment for us is that it is personalized, that it works for you, and not that it creates more work for you. We have a tendency to do that. We have a tendency to think that we're making something work for us, but we're really creating just like more work for ourselves. So just like don't do that. Okay? Okay. All right. Hi, my friend. Are you looking for a little more support in the areas that I talk about in this podcast? If you are, and maybe you can't afford or don't want to be a part of a group coaching program like Focused, then head to my show notes and fill out the form, because one-on-one coaching is open for me. I do have some open slots. I just finished some session bundles with some clients. I do have open spots. This is as of July 6th, 2024, and I do plan on doing evening appointments and weekend appointments for session bundles throughout the school year. So please fill out that form. I will get it, and I should answer you within 24 hours. If you're interested, head to the show notes and find the link that says something about coaching with me, Carmen. I am a certified life coach, and I do specialize in working with people who are neurodivergent. All right, are you ready to dig in? Okay, so let's start with structure. Do you have structure? You may or may not, depending on where you are in your ADHD journey. And the thing is, ADHDers, we tend to dislike structure. I still do. And it's because we enjoy novelty. But you can work novelty into structure. I've learned this by playing around with things like switching up my routines. I move my furniture within my spaces to create novelty as well. We thrive in structure, and the easiest first step to this is making a habit stack to make some type of plan, like for your day at the beginning of each day. This will help you, like, just kind of start off like with structure in your life, and then you can build on it. It can be super simple, like just to do, or as detailed as you want. It helps our brains see what we need to do and start to prioritize and possibly find the steps of each to-do list. Now, I do want to mention here that I do have a bunch of these resources, like little worksheets and stuff, in my Patreon. A lot of them are free. Some of them cost a couple of bucks, but Patreon is a listener supporting the podcast. That is what it does. It feeds the podcast. So until I get any, sponsors out in here, that's what I'll be doing. And, it's one of those things that I think I refuse to go to YouTube and Yeah, I'm not there yet, and I can accept that. And we're off the ADHD tangent. So, you know, make a plan, a simple one at the beginning of each day, and start to, prioritize and find the steps. It's one of those things that each step builds on the next. Okay, so start small. Another general tip I have is to look at each room in your home. What do you do in that room? What items do you need to do those tasks? What are a few items that you just enjoy having in that room that are conducive to your productivity in that room? Whatever the room's purpose is. Like in the bathroom. Like, do you enjoy having a clock in there, or do you like not knowing what time it is? I don't know. Like, things like that. Anything that's not on the list, remove it from the room and either put it in the room where it's listed, or if it's not on the list, gift it, donate it, anything but sell it. Unless you are in really, really dire need of the money, do not stress yourself out more by trying to sell things that you're not going to use anymore. Okay? Like, it just adds more stress to the plate. Unless you're really good at it, it's something you love, or you really need the money, just give it away. Okay? Also, please don't donate your broken stuff. I've said this before. Just throw it away. No one wants your broken crap. Okay? The other part of this tip is, are there distractions in the environment? For example, a TV in your workspace may not work for you. So reduce visual and auditory distractions by taking things out of the environment, using headphones, and removing overstimulating decor, and creating organization systems that work for you. You may use drawers, file cabinets, bins, shelves, containers. Use what works for you. Make it personalized. I would suggest using labels and making it visual, and manage lighting to what you need. I like it bright when I'm working and darker when I'm relaxing. Some people get overstimulated by bright lights. So let's talk about rooms a little bit more specifically. When you're minimizing clutter, improving organization, and essentially removing distractions in certain environments, I invite you to ask yourself, do I need this in this room? If the answer is yes, find a place for it. If the answer is no, it's probably a giveaway item, or it just doesn't go in that room and it can go in a different room. So the bathroom. Make hygiene and after hygiene easy. Brush your teeth in the shower or while you dry off from a shower. Keep your moisturizer and hair products in the bathroom. Unless you're like me and you have a designated space where you get ready and it makes those habits easier to do, just make those items like ready for you to grab and easily accessible when you need them. Also make it visual. You can create picture charts, schedules, and or routines. You can make it simple or make it as detailed as you like, and put them in the area where you do those things, or in a neutral place in the home if multiple people use it, like a calendar or something like that. I also invite you to use habit stacking to build your environment. For example, my morning meds are downstairs where I put my journal and planner out for each day. Like, that's part of my 20-minute tidy the day before. So the 20-minute tidy involves me putting out my journal and putting my meds that I need to take in the morning out on the top of my desk, right on top of the journal. I even put a pen there so that right after I take my meds, I do my journaling and I make my plan for the day. Do this, like, make that example work for ways that work for you. And because, like, doing that may not work for you. Putting your meds there may not help you remember to take them. Like, put your meds somewhere and put the journal somewhere near the coffee, the meds, something you do at the beginning of the day. I also put my walking shoes that I use in the morning, I put them like in front of my desk. So I slip into them like out of my slides and into my walking shoes or slippers, depending on how cold it is. And I put my walking shoes on before I even journal and plan. And it makes it a lot easier to transition into the walk that I need to do. That sometimes my brain is like, but I just don't want to. Like, I just don't want to. Because you know what I'm talking about, because you have ADHD and your brain says the same thing. So, it makes the environments literally will set up your transitions, your everything. As you build these, you'll see how it will help your day flow a ton better. The other part, you'll end up learning like way more about yourself and how to personalize your environments for your specific needs. For example, when I was setting up my home workspace, I realized that the stacks that I was using were like, they were stacks of just decluttered mess. And I was using them to prop up like my table thing. I don't know. It looked terrible. It was awful. But it was so that I could stand up to work, literally. So my reward for going through those piles and the atrocious desk and all the whatever is that I bought a high-rise desk topper. So now my desk is free of clutter and I can stand. Now I know what you're thinking. Please don't stop here. I know that your thought right now is my desk clutters up every day, Carmen. What do you mean? I know, mine does too. I started keeping a clutter bin and it's out of my sight. And I go through it weekly. Another little tip that I want to add here is put garbage cans everywhere. Because some papers, like the papers that I use to kind of go off of when I'm doing my podcast, I throw them away right when I'm done with them. Because they don't need to in a folder. I don't need to save them. What do I need to save them for? You may say, Carmen, that's a waste of trees. I need to write it down. So I don't, that's okay. I recycle. It's fine. Another example is when I work, I like it bright and I need a lot of space. So I found myself going up to the living room and cluttering the huge table that's up there with the natural light from the windows with all of my stuff. And then there was the whole task of putting it all away. So instead, I bought a couple of sun lamps and like a kid adjustable like desk off Amazon. And the only reason I bought a kid one is because it was cheaper. But I bought it all off Amazon really cheap to brighten up my workspace and give myself more surface area to work. There is another, I'm adding like little tips in between like my big tips, but research shows that greenery also helps productivity. And the plant doesn't even have to be real for it to work. Like, isn't that cool? Like, the plant doesn't even have to be real. You could just put a fake plant on your desk. I mean, for me, anything that sparkles is conducive to my environment. Oh, I do have fake flowers down here. See, everything becomes a part of our environment. It's all that, like, it's not even out of sight, out of mind. Some things become a literal part of our environment. So also learn that about yourself. I don't use sticky notes because they become part of my environment. Now, for some reason, if it has an inspirational quote on it, I can, for some reason, do that. But if it is like a reminder or something, unless it's in the middle of my computer screen or mirror, I'm not going to remember to do that thing because it's out of my sight, which means it's out of my mind. I know that there are some of you that work outside of the home. I do too. So take the tips that you can. And remember, if you can't implement something, you can always try to accommodate that thing with a tool, with a break, and with other ways to keep your brain working with you instead of against you. Some other general tips I have about setting up your environment is to create a launch pad. This is in almost every single one of my organization podcasts, but it's where your keys, your wallet, all that important stuff that we always manage to lose, put it in a small bin that's by or near the front door. It seriously helps. I've been using one for 2 years and I lose my keys significantly less now than I used to. Also, asking yourself in certain areas, is everything that I regularly use in this space, is it accessible? Do I know where it is? Can I get to it easily? These questions help simplify that decluttering process a little bit for our brains. Now, there aren't only things in your environment, there are also people. There are also people, yes. And while we can't control the people in our environment, like we can't control the actual people, okay, I'm sorry, I know it sucks, but we can't control the other people who are in our lives. We can control how much we engage with certain people, and we can get new people. Surround yourself with positive people. And I'm going to say this once, and I've said it before, toxic is toxic, blood or not. You know that saying, misery loves company? It's totally 100% true because it breeds more misery when you're surrounded by it. So try to surround yourself with positive, uplifting people who are willing to support you and learn about you and understand you and love you for who you are. I talked a lot about this in one of my recent episodes. I know that this episode was full of information, so take it easy on yourself. You cannot change your entire environment overnight, especially if you didn't know anything about any of this or you don't know what works best for you. Don't shame yourself along the way or berate yourself for not doing this perfectly. That's not how this works. Perfection doesn't exist. That's toxic, my friend, and I don't allow toxicity. We can't grow from shame. As always, I'd love to hear your takeaways. What did you like? What will you try? What do you want to hear about? That is all I have for now. Stay authentic, my friends, and we will talk soon. Speaking of extra supports, I just wanted to tell you all that I've updated my Patreon page to include all of the resources that I've really ever made to be held in one place. Just head to my show notes. The VIP members do get a little extra, but you can also purchase my brand new Ultimate ADHD journal and planner, which I've been using for the past year. That has worked. Nothing is priced over $10, and everything is at least 50 to 100 pages that you can download and print. You can get it binded and sent to you, or you can just read it off your screen and use notebook paper. So if you want or need any type of that kind of extra support, just head to my show notes and click the Patreon link to join. I hope to see you in there. Hey ADHDer, are you looking for more support with your brain? Do you crave community with people who understand you? You should really check out Focused, the group coaching program I am a part of that is for adults with ADHD. It's made and run by none other than Kristen Carter of the I Have ADHD podcast. I've grown so much by being in this program, using the tools, and being in the community for over a year now. If you use the link in my show notes, we both save money on this or next month's cost. So I think it's worth it. Go check it out at ihaveadhd.com/focused.